The Curzon House was actually called the Curzon House, a bloody great big urban mansion that is still the London seat of the very wealthy and very, very powerful politically at one time Curzon family. There's always a Lord Curzon knocking about somewhere. He let the casino for quite a substantial rent to two brothers from the East End whose their first business, or the elder brother's first business, was a knocking shop in the East End in between the world wars, about 1930s, which unfortunately was raided, and the older brother spent a year or two in one of Her Majesty's prisons. When he came out, he opened a posh nightclub in Leicester Square. It was Princess Margaret used to go there. It was the top nightclub of the time. But it was still a knocking shop, but the girls went off to private flats somewhere. And that made it legal, surprisingly enough. It was that the illegal part was having the girls on the premises, as long as they were called hostesses, which sounds good, and they teamed up with the mostly posh clientele, and went off to knock. I started work there in 1964 because I spoke fluent French, and the place was staffed. There weren't any English croupiers in those days because there were no casinos, obviously, so it wasn't like being a carpenter or a plumber. All the staff were imported from France, earned a packet, and helped themselves to quite a lot as well. So the idea was to train nice young English boys like me who spoke French to kind of act like a Frenchman, work a French game, and keep the atmosphere, but cut the wages down. So I did quite well. The French weren't amused; they didn't help. So we had to, And in fact, when I were 2 or 3 trainees, and when we were on the table, they actually, the French guys, who did, the turkeys don't vote for Christmas, they did their best to make us balls up all the time. But if you're tough enough, I got through. Some didn't. I got through and eventually became the casino manager somewhere else for John Aspinall. He gets around. I worked there for 6 years, 1964 to 1970. Drove around in expensive, loud sports cars, grew my hair long, chased the girls, went to all the nice places in London. It was kind of young man's paradise, all by accident. I just sort of drifted into the job. In early 1970, I was fed up working at night, so I went off to live in a little hippie village in Spain, along with a friend whose dad was a sort of minor film star in the 50s, and whose mother was the actress, long-suffering actress, who I lived with from 1965 to 1970, and we finally split up in 70. As I say, I went off, rattling off in a sports car to have a whale of a time, and stayed there for about 6 months. Came back, got a flat in Chelsea, stayed there for about a year without working. The work ethic kind of left me for a while, and then came back into casinos in late 1972 because I had about £6 left in the bank.